Warning: this episode contains graphic content. Listener discretion is advised.
Hey guys, I'm Amanda.
I'm Melissa, and this is Dark and Twisties.
Dark and Twisties is a weekly crime and creepy podcast hosted by two best friends who uncover some of life's twisted moments.
Bringing you a dark dose of serotonin and self-care sprinkled with a little humor, we run you through the facts, all while dropping our unprofessional opinion.
Follow us on Instagram at Dark and Twisties Podcast.
Find us by searching Dark and Twisties on Spotify and Google Podcasts.
And join us as we unravel our latest dark and twisty obsession. Stick around after the story to hear our thoughts on this case. Tyler Hadley was a troubled teen who knew his parents would never allow him to have a party, so he came up with a plan to get rid of the biggest obstacle in his way. On July 16, 2011, when Facebook friends and classmates received an invitation to a party by a kid most didn't know, they never imagined that it would end up being one of the most shocking crimes to ever happen to the small town of Port St. Lucie, Florida. By age 17, Blake and Mary Jo Hadley had done everything they could to get their son Tyler on the right track. Between outpatient therapy, medication, and substance abuse programs, nothing seemed to work. He had recently been caught drinking and doing drugs, so his parents had to crack down harder. His cell phone was taken away along with his access to the family computer, but ultimately it was given back. Once in his possession, he made it clear to his friends that the party was still on. Tyler created a Facebook post where he was questioned about how he was able to throw a party, but he just told everyone that his parents were going out of town. A few hours before the party, Tyler went to the ATM and withdrew $5,000 and picked up some friends. By the time the party started, they had 50 people that were inside the Hadley residence. Some Tyler didn't even know. The house had become trashed, and Tyler was starting to get worried that the police were going to be called for a noise complaint, so he tried to keep everyone inside as much as possible. One of the most crowded areas in the home, though, was the kitchen. Kids had been rummaging through the cabinets, spilling drinks, and playing beer pong, all while using the Hadleys' family computer to play music. The white keyboard was tacky with a brown, dried liquid that most figured was just spilled soda or beer. Throughout the night, kids were overheard trying to figure out how Tyler was able to throw this party. One witness stated they heard someone say, "I smell dead people," and a joke being made about Tyler killing his parents to have this party. By midnight, there were over 100 people inside of the Hadley home when a girl who didn't know Tyler very well spotted one of his family dogs hiding in the bathroom. While they were searching for the other dog, a kid tried to open up the master bedroom, but it was locked. Outside the door, he notices what he believes as oil-based paint someone tried to wipe away. Tyler's other dog is finally located inside of his brother Ryan's bedroom, who had recently left for college. Ryan's room was also trashed, but considering how the rest of the house looked, no one found it strange. However, the smell of the Hadley residence had been referred to as sweaty clothes that had been left sitting too long, and the mess was only getting worse. Multiple times during beer pong, the ball would bounce off the table onto the floor, landing in the same brown substance on the computer keyboard, but was quickly rinsed off and the game resumed. Around 12:30, the party had run out of beer, so Mark Andrews and his girlfriend Ashley offered to drive Tyler to the gas station. While in the car, Tyler mentions to Ashley that his father had died. Since Ashley didn't know Tyler well, she figured he was talking about when he was a child and didn't ask any questions. By the time they got back to the party, Tyler asked Mark if they could go somewhere and speak in private. Once they got away from the party, Tyler confesses to Mark, "I did some things. I might go to prison, I might go away for life. I don't know, but I'm freaking out right now. I know you aren't going to believe me, no one will, but I freaking killed someone." But Mark wanted nothing to do with this confession and told Tyler that killing someone was his own business, and not to tell him something that he didn't need to know, and leaves the party. While heading back to the party, Tyler spots his best friend Michael and asks him if they can go for a walk. By the end of the block, Tyler looks at Michael and says, "I killed my parents." At first, Michael doesn't believe Tyler and laughs off the confession, but Tyler insists he's not lying. He tells Michael that if he looks close enough, he can see the signs and takes him back to the house and into the garage. As soon as he enters the garage, Michael notices a bloody shoe print and demands Tyler to show him where the bodies are. They then head to the master bedroom where Michael finally sees evidence that someone had died. He can see traces of blood on the door, broken furniture and clothing, along with Mr. Hadley's leg poking out of the bottom of the pile. Tyler tells Michael that earlier in the afternoon he hid his parents' cell phone so they couldn't call for help, and headed into the garage. He didn't think he could kill his parents while he was sober, so he took 3 ecstasy pills and listened to some music to hype himself up. He finally headed into the kitchen where his mother was working at their family computer and waited 5 whole minutes before finally bludgeoning her to death. His father hears the chaos and screams and runs into the kitchen, only to find his dead wife at the hands of his son. He asks Tyler why would he do such a thing, to which Tyler replies, "Why the fuck not?" and continues to say while beating his father to death. He then wrapped towels around their heads and dragged them to the master bedroom where he threw any trace of the murders on top of the bodies, along with broken dishes and furniture to conceal them. Once finished, he took a shower, but told Michael he couldn't help but laugh at himself when he looked in the mirror. Michael storms off, but doesn't leave the party. Thinking it's going to be the last time he's ever going to see his best friend, he gets one last photo with him before finally leaving. As 2 a.m. approaches, rumors of a new party are spread around and the Hadley residence finally dies down. But not before one of Tyler's neighbors finally calls the police to complain about the noise. Around 4:40 a.m., Tyler posts on his Facebook saying, "Party at my house again, hit me up." It was at the same time that police are arriving at the Hadley residence after receiving a tip through Crime Stoppers. Once Michael had left the party, he called police and told them everything that Tyler had confessed to. While police stood outside of the Hadley home, they witnessed Tyler pacing back and forth throughout the house with a strange look on his face. Upon knocking on the door, Tyler turns the lights off and opens the front door, where police instruct him to step out of the house and he is checked for weapons and handcuffed. As police are escorting him to the car, he notices officers entering his home and becomes very frantic, telling him that they're not allowed in there. Walking through what was once a family home trashed by an out-of-control party, police head to the master bedroom, but the door is locked. Officers notice what appear to be dried blood on the door frame and the baseboards and force the door open. Upon entering and shuffling through the entire mess, they finally locate the bodies of Mr. and Mrs. Hadley. As news breaks, police find out that Tyler had told many of his friends he planned on killing his parents, but nobody believed him. One witness, Marky Phillips, stated that 2 weeks before the murders, Tyler had blurted out in the middle of nowhere that he wanted to kill his parents and have a big party, because nobody had ever done that before. Throw a huge party with the bodies still inside. Some witnesses state that it was his parents' fault for always being so strict and never letting him be himself, but the most common explanation for the crime was drugs. None of the teens interviewed, though, seemed upset about the news. In fact, one teen even said, "Wow, I just went to the party of a lifetime. It's messed up what he did, but 20 years from now, I'll be able to say I was there." Since Tyler was 17, he was unable to be sentenced to death due to the Florida law, so in 2014 he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. In 2016, his sentence was overturned by an appeal judge who stated the lower court did not consider the correct alternative to a life sentence, and by December 2019, he was resentenced to life in prison, only this time he would be eligible for parole. As of today, Tyler is still serving his life sentence in a Florida State Correctional Facility, and the Hadley residence was never lived in again, ultimately being demolished in 2016.
If you would like to learn more or see pictures related to this case, head over to www.darkandtwisties.com.
So, did you listen to the part of the story that I did, or did you go over the notes or anything?
So,
That's a that's a no. Okay, so do you have any idea?
I mean, I sorta kinda read over it. I know it's a teenager, he killed his parents.
Okay.
I know that much. But
No, it's fine.
I mean, it's been a weird week.
The research is just it's impeccable.
Listen, I was getting rid of some trash.
Yeah, we had to dump some trash out.
I got a little distracted by getting rid of said trash because it was heavy.
So, when I was a kid, even, like, in high school, I was not the type of kid who went to parties or, like, stayed out late or did anything like that, so I don't really understand half of how anybody can, like, throw a party. Did you attend parties when you're in high school? Like,
I was a big partier.
oh my god, I didn't know that. I was not a partier.
I used to get drunk on Four Locos.
The first party I ever went to was when I was 19 with my cousin. So we drank lemonade and vodka because my cousin Katie worked at Hot Dog on a Stick at that time, so she was able to get all of the lemonade at the end of her shift. So she got like this big ass gallon of lemonade. So we were taking shots of vodka and drinking lemonade.
I threw a party at my mom's house one time when they went out of town. It was great. It was a great party. And I thought that I got everything, like all the trash and shit. So I was like, I got away with it. It's cool. But I broke an entire case of beer. So she came home and saw like the glass pieces.
Oh no.
She knew.
How did you go through so I have back then, I had too much anxiety to either A, throw a party when my parents were home, or B, throw one when they're not home, and the anticipation of them possibly coming home, like, that is terrifying.
I didn't have to worry about them coming home for that party because they were in Vegas. So, like, it wasn't a big deal. But I think my mom was just such like that laid back type of mom when we were teenagers. She wanted to be more our friend. I don't think she even cared. I don't even think we got in trouble for it. She was just mad that we didn't clean up beer bottles. And I honestly think that she was more upset that like my stepdad knew because he was strict, but she wasn't.
I would have told on myself. They would have been like, "How was your weekend?" "Fine, I didn't have a party." Even when I lived with my dad, I was home alone all the time. I had the perfect opportunity to probably have parties, but I didn't.
You could have thrown some great parties.
So, Tyler, he would break into people's yards and take things. He was constantly writing in bathrooms with Sharpies, which I never did that either because I'd be too scared to get caught.
I feel like I'm in danger right now because when I was a child, I drew all over my mother's walls with a Sharpie right before it was supposed to be shown for someone to buy it.
Oh my god.
And I also set an entire box of clothes on fire, not on purpose, but I did because I was playing with matches when I was really little and I lit one and it burnt my finger. So then I threw it into a box and set the whole box of clothes on fire.
Bro, what the hell? You were a demon child. The most I ever did was I tried to light a tree on fire by using my glasses in the sun. It did not work. I just want to put that disclaimer out there now. It did not work, but I tried to light the tree in front of my house on fire. Well, no, let me rephrase that. It was not just me. There was a little girl, and she was technically the one who pushed me into doing it, but I did it. Failed, but I did it.
So peer pressure.
Yeah, it was peer pressure. Fuck you, Jasmine. I'll never forget that.
You know, my mother never lets me forget about writing all over her walls and setting a box on fire.
Yeah, you were nuts. We lived very different childhoods. I was the sheltered one, and you were the clothes setting on fire, party having, beer bottle breaking demon shit.
Yeah, yeah. But look at us now.
Look at us now. So Tyler told people before the party that he was going to have one, but nobody believed him because they knew that his parents were so strict. A few weeks before the parties, though, he had come home drunk, and so his mom took his phone from him. Once he got that phone back, he was having a conversation with this girl named Mercedes and said, "Yep, she's a CUNT. We're not going to say it. A CUNT for show."
See you next Tuesday.
Yeah, she was a "see you next Tuesday" for show. I might kill her. And so Mercedes was like, "Oh my God, no, jail, or I mean prison, LOL." And Tyler says, "Oh well."
Wait till you're in prison. It's not so oh well.
Yeah, oh well. Oh well. So the day of the murders, July 16th, he writes on his Facebook wall and he's like, "Having a party tonight, maybe." People constantly asked him, like, "Hey, where are your parents? Like, you got your parents to agree?" And he just said, "They're getting ready to leave. They're going on vacation. They're leaving for the weekend." Like, he just kind of was really vague about where his parents would be. So some kids were kind of confused. They're like, his parents are so strict. He just got off of being grounded, like having his phone taken away for being drunk. And now they're like, "Sure, let's have a whole bunch of kids come over to our house." But kids who are bored and have nothing better to do, they're like, "Sure, why not?" So he's been telling all these people that he's going to have a party. Around 5 p.m., he takes his parents' cell phones so they can't call for help.
Oh God.
Now that's so creepy.
That's premeditated.
Yeah, like who thinks of that? Like, I'm gonna go kill my parents, but let me take their phones first so that way they can't call for help. Like, that is somebody who really like thought out that process and was like, "Yep." And he takes 3 ecstasy pills.
How did he take 3? I've never done any of, like, the hard drugs, so I don't know how any of that works, like
It's a weird thing for me. I just feel like it's a weird thing to take before you go and kill your parents.
oh, for sure, and with him having anxiety, I don't understand how he's just popping 3 ecstasy pills and not being like, "Shit, is this gonna kill me?" Because, like, that's my thought.
And he listened to a song called Feel Lucky by Little Boozy. This is murdering hype music, apparently.
Oh god.
That's not my murder song of choice, I guess. I don't know what would be, but I can tell you it wouldn't be that. So he literally hyped himself up to that song, and he got a claw hammer from the garage. I guess he stood behind his mom for about 5 minutes before deciding he was gonna go through with it. Now I wonder what was going through her head during that. Like, my son's just chilling here. He listened to some weird ass music before this came in. He's just chilling behind me.
Right?
If my kid's standing behind me for 30 seconds, I'm like, "What?"
I can feel their eyes burning into the back of my skull.
I wonder what the last words were that he hyped himself up, but, like, there had to have been a conversation or something during those 5 minutes where he's like, "Oh, yep, I'm really gonna do it now. Like, you really pushed me," because then he goes on to bludgeon her 36 times in the head while she's sitting at the computer desk.
Bad vibes.
Yeah, bad vibes. So he bludgeons her 36 times in the head while she's sitting at that computer desk. Now, Blake, his dad, is in another room and he's actually hearing just this whole chaotic event, his wife screaming and just these noises. So he goes out there and he's like, "Why? Like, why are you doing this?" Tyler literally says, "Why the fuck not?" And continues to say it as he strikes him 39 times. Just repeating those words, "Why the fuck not? Why the fuck not?" Like, clearly he had a little bit of anger in him.
It's more than a little bit.
He got a lot of anger out with that. That's a lot of times to strike somebody.
Yeah, especially your parents.
His dad is a pretty big dude.
I've always heard, like, whenever you're on, like, hardcore drugs like that, that, like, your strength for some reason is super up.
Yeah, like you use all of your strength,
So maybe his dad tried to fight back?
maybe. So now he's just chilling there. He's got 2 dead bodies. And what does he do? He moves the bodies into the master bedroom with a towel around their head. Now, let me tell you, when I read that, I was like, good for him. That is ingenuity right there. Like, I would have never thought, let's grab some towels. That's fucking brilliant. I give him props. Like, that's brilliant.
That is pretty smart.
That would be one of my biggest issues. Like, if I killed somebody, like, how am I gonna? I've got a bad back. How am I gonna move this body? There's no way. I'm gonna pop a disc.
But again, maybe since he was on drugs, he was like Superman and just could drag him without an issue. I don't
I got a lot of things wrong with this body. It is not moving another body, that's for sure. So it takes him about 3 hours to clean up the crime scene. He basically took them into that master bedroom and just threw everything on top of them: broken dishes, bloody towels, pillowcases, coffee tables, mops. wipes, a can of coffee, was just literally throwing things on top of there. Now, I read in an article the reason why he just threw all these random things on there is he was throwing anything that related to the crime scene and anything that he felt like had to go. He was throwing like pictures and stuff on there. Like there's pictures of him and his mom and his dad. Like he threw those on top there. So he was literally taking anything that reminded him of his parents and throwing it on top of them. So it wasn't just crime scene stuff. Like there was just a bunch of random ass shit in there just buried on top of them to bury the bodies, but to get rid of all of those items too that he just didn't want to see.
Where did he go, like, bury them outside, or did he just leave them in the bedroom and then piled shit on top of them?
No, he literally just left them in the bedroom and piled shit on top of them. Just buried them underneath stuff.
I mean, I guess instead of, taking the effort to go and bury them outside, just throw them under a bunch of garbage.
Yeah, just keep piling stuff on top of them. It's gonna conceal everything.
Maybe the can of coffee was to try to hide the smell because you know how they have, like, the coffee beans you can sniff when you're smelling perfume? He said, "You know what? I got a coffee table there, we'd eat the coffee."
Yeah, we got the coffee table. Let's serve the coffee. Here's some dishes, some glasses. There you go. You guys will be good for a little bit. And then just goes and takes a shower. Look, when you're on 3 ecstasy pills, you're invincible, I guess.
Oh.
After he got out of the shower, he literally, or maybe it was when he got into the shower, I'm not too sure. When he was either getting in or out, he looks at himself in the mirror and he literally just laughed. Like, you just bludgeoned your parents to death, just buried their body under a whole bunch of random ass shit, and you get out of the shower and you're like, hey, you. Like, what? That had that had to be the ecstasy pills kicking in, you know what I mean? Like, that had to be.
The first thing you do is look at yourself and be like, "Ha ha, ha, you sexy face."
Oh, yeah, you did such a good job. Now have a party.
Oh, congratulations. Time to have a party.
So he has a party. The party starts around 11:30. By the time the party was like really going, half of them didn't even know Tyler. Tyler didn't even know half of them. So they were all playing beer pong, and in the dining room in the kitchen area is where that family computer was. Now, the computer keyboard that everyone was touching to play music, they kept getting sticky stuff that was on their hands. Now, this entire time, they basically just thought that what was getting on their hands was like spilled alcohol or spilled beer or spilled soda. It was like this brown, sticky substance that everyone kind of just disregarded, thinking, ew, like this place is kind of gross, but not gross enough for me to leave. And I'm still going to keep touching it because they just continued to use the computer throughout the night.
Was it blood?
I mean, what do you think?
Were they all touching blood?
Are they all touching? Yeah. They basically were all this was like dried blood all over the keyboard that they're over there putting their fingers on, pressing, and then picking up food, putting the food in their mouth, like just it.
That's disgusting. I'm sorry, but if I was at somebody's house and I got something sticky all over my fingers, the first thing I would do was wash my hands.
And never touch that stuff again.
And then never touch it again. But these kids were just like, fuck it, it's sticky, it kind of smells weird.
I would be like, clean your shit.
Screw it, I want to listen to this song.
Fine. I'm willing to sacrifice the sticky stuff on my fingers to play, Little Boozy, Feel Lucky. Tyler's like, hey, I've heard this song before today.
I listened to this song for 45 minutes earlier.
Yeah. Sat there and jammed out in my garage.
To a great song.
To a great, yeah, it was good job, Little Boozy. That is a delightful track that you made.
I dig it. Mhm.
So during this party, there's a lot of things that are being said because everybody's still kind of wondering how he managed to have this party. Everybody knew his parents were so strict. He had all these issues. He was constantly getting in trouble. He was constantly getting grounded. During that party, rumors kind of start flying around. Now, one person says, I smell dead people. And then when he's asked by someone else, he's like, what do you mean? He's like, oh, there's people smoking in the background. That's all I meant. And just kind of leaves. And, they all brush it off.
What? Nope. As soon as somebody says anything about smelling, seeing, talking to dead people, I'm out.
Yeah, they just brushed it off. They're just like, "Oh, you're funny. Like, I smell dead people. I would have pieced the fuck out of there. I would have been gone." Like, you say that, I've been like, "Oh, that's my cue." While they're all playing beer pong, somebody is talking about how he was able to get to have this party, and someone literally says out loud, "Oh, he killed his parents," but they all just, like, laughed it off. Meanwhile, like, Blake and Mary Jo are literally under all these random ass items in the master bedroom. So one girl, she goes into the bathroom and she comes out and she goes over to Tyler to let him know that, hey, she had just found one of his dogs hiding in the bathroom, and he had two family dogs. So the one was found in the bathroom, the other one was later found in his brother's room who had gone back to college.
Those poor babies.
So both of the dogs were pretty much like freaked out because they just probably saw all the chaos before and then a party. Like, those dogs are traumatized.
Like, I'm also upset that you murdered your parents, but the dogs, don't do that.
I'm upset that you murdered your parents, but the fact that you traumatized your pets is really just not sitting right with me.
Crosses the line.
Yeah, it crosses the line that I've got. Like, a lot of things don't bother me, but that bothers me. Like, that poor dog in the bathroom was probably like, "Please take me home, ma'am. Get me out of here. Find my brother. I gotta go. Like, let's get out of here." One of the kids, when being interviewed by reporters about the party because he was in attendance, he describes the party as the house smelled like sweaty clothes that had been sitting too long. When I first read that, I could smell that. I'm like, "Homie, that's not dirty clothes. That's bodies underneath dirty clothes."
Yeah, that's the bodies that are chilling up under the dump upstairs.
During the party, there was clearly people who didn't go to Tyler's school that Tyler didn't know. Now, one of them, Mark Andrews, he was a 21-year-old. He showed up with his girlfriend Ashley. Around midnight, Tyler asked them, "Hey, can you take me to the gas station so I can go and get some more beer?" Him, Ashley, and Mark, they all go to the gas station. And Mark goes inside because he's 21 years old and then goes and buys the beer. Now, Tyler is sitting in the car with Ashley, and Ashley says that they really didn't have too much of a conversation, but out of nowhere he had stated, "Oh, my dad died." Now, Ashley really didn't know Tyler that well, so she kind of just brushed it off like, "Oh, it's probably like something that happened a while ago. This kid's probably drunk, emotional, just spouting out random shit." So she really just didn't think anything of it. So they get back to the party, and he asks Mark, he's like, "Hey, can we go outside and talk?" Tyler, he's 17 years old. So this kid is 21 years old. So why are you attending a party with 17-year-olds in the first place? Like, that right there in itself is creepy. So Tyler tries to tell him, "Hey, I did something and I'm probably going to go to jail for a really long time. I killed somebody." And Mark Andrews is like, "No, that is your own business. Do not tell me about it. I want no part in that." So he didn't want that kind of shady information, but like going to a party with 17-year-olds, that was totally fine to him. Like, that wasn't creepy to him. But being told about somebody murdering somebody, you're just like, keep that bad vibe from me.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing shady shit, but he doesn't want to be included in said shady shit, is what it is.
Yeah, yeah, not any shadier than we already got. Like, he's just like, that's enough shade for me. I'm okay. It's a little too much, so just don't." He literally was like, "Just don't tell me about that. I don't need to know about that. That's your own business." And Tyler's just like, "Okay." So they walk back to the party. He finds Michael, his best friend, and he's like, "Hey, can we go walk to the end of the block? Like, I need to talk to you." And Michael's like, "Yeah, sure." They go walking. They get to the end of the block, and Tyler's like, "I have to tell you something." And he's like, "I killed my parents." And at first, Michael didn't believe him. "You're drunk. Like, let's just go back to the party." And so he tells Michael if he looks close enough, he can see the signs. So he takes him back to the house and they go into the garage. As soon as they get into the garage, Michael notices a bloody shoe print and he's like, "Show me the bodies. Like, if you're telling the truth, show me the body." So then they head over to the master bedroom where Michael sees like the ginormous mess. He's like looking for evidence. He sees blood on the floor, broken furniture, clothing, and then also spots Mr. Hadley's leg poking out of the bottom of the pile. Now, imagine being at a party with your best friend and you're just You're just having fun. You're just vibing. His parents are out of town. And then he's like, hey, let's go talk. And you're like, sure. He's like, hey, I killed my parents. And you're like, oh, fuck. Instantly sober. Like, instantly sober.
Honestly, his best friend was all, "Oh, give me proof, show me the bodies." No, I would have been like, "Cool story, bro. My mom's calling, I gotta go."
Yeah, I would have been like, oh, I would have pulled a Mark Andrews and been like, bro, don't tell me about that. I am not into the shady shit.
Right, and then as soon as Tyler turned around to walk back to the house, I would have just ran.
I would have been out. I'm like, see ya, let me run home. I don't care if I had a car there. I'd leave the car. I'd just start running. Just get the hell out. So Michael walks off, but he does not leave the party. He stays, thinking that it's going to be the last time he's ever going to see his best friend. He gets one last photo. So him and Tyler take a selfie.
Why does this sound familiar?
Right? My friend just committed murder, but let me take a selfie. Brings me back to Skylar. The whole situation with Skylar. Like, we're all just taking selfies. Let's just take a selfie when we're done.
Like, I know that I'm getting you to confess to murder right now, but selfie first. And then this kid was like, "Listen, I just saw bodies, but let's take a selfie."
So he doesn't leave the party. He stays a little bit longer, enough time for him to take pictures and, kind of slowly make his way out of the house. Around 2 a.m., there's rumors that there's another party, and so the Hadley residence party finally dies down. But not before one of Tyler's neighbors finally calls police and lets them know, like, hey, there's a lot of noise going on at this house. I don't know if the parents are home or not. The party finally dies down. About 4:40 a.m., Tyler posts on his Facebook, "Party at my house again, hit me up." But at the same time, police are arriving at the Hadley residence after receiving a tip through Crime Stoppers. Michael, as soon as he left and he got home, decided to, even though he took a selfie, not give him crap for that, he did go finally, contact police and let them know what happened.
I mean, good for him for actually calling and not just like being like, "Oh, okay, well, I'm going to protect my friend." Like, I get that's your friend, but good for you for actually doing the right thing.
Michael states the reason he didn't leave the party after finding out that Tyler was telling the truth is because he was in shock. He had knew both the parents were dead, but he still didn't see Tyler as like a killer. He was still comfortable being around him, and he states that that's why he took the selfie, because he knew it was going to be the last time that he ever saw him, but at the same time, he was kind of in shock and didn't think to himself, I need to leave now. By the time he got home, he was like, oh crap, my best friend just confessed to murder. I need to call Crime Stoppers.
He said, "I want to take a selfie, but also as soon as I'm gone, I'm calling the popo." So,
Police get there and they're watching him. They say he's got this really weird look on his face. They ring the doorbell, but like Tyler does not come out automatically. He continues taking all those items and kind of tossing them out. And finally, he turns off all lights in the house and he comes to the door. Now, when he opens the door, they're like, hey, you need to come out. So they check him for weapons. He gets handcuffed. But as they are escorting him to the police car to put him in the back, he notices that officers are entering into the house. So he starts becoming frantic. He's like, you cannot go in there. Do not go into that house. Like, you're not allowed in there. Thinking that at this point, like, even though he's in handcuffs, there's a bazillion police outside your house. Like, they're just gonna be like, "Oh, sorry, Tyler, you're right. I can't go in there." Like, homie, we are already past that.
you can't stop them, my guy. They're going to do it. We're past the whole not going in the house. Like, we're going in the house.
He goes and he gets taken in for questioning. Now they start, contacting everybody that he knows. So he had been telling people, like giving them signs that he was going to do this, like saying, "Oh, I should," to Mercedes. He said, "Oh yeah, she's a CUNT. I might kill her." And he was constantly making comments when they were talking to Marky Phillips, who he was in Chicago at the time. But 2 nights prior to the murders, they were together playing video games before he left, and he just randomly blurted out in the middle of just playing video games, just randomly says, "I want to kill my parents and have a big party." He also stated that the reason why he wanted to do that is because there's never been anybody who's been known to have a party with the body still inside the house. At that point, Marky really just thought he was making a bad joke, laughed it off. Marky's like, I gotta leave. I'm going to Chicago. I am not interested in this BS right now. Like, and just kind of laughs it off.
The amount of guilt I would feel for, like, not taking it serious and then it actually ended up happening, I would feel so bad.
Yeah, like 2 days before, and imagine being that kid, like, hearing, your best friend says that, and then you go out of town, then you come back and you're like, "Oh, oops."
Yeah, just, like, knowing that you should have listened to what they said and if you would have taken it seriously, you could have prevented it, that would eat me up inside.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I would feel pretty bad. I'd be like, "Oh, crap, I really should have listened." One of the inmates, they said that he uses the phrase, "It's hammer time," as, like, a joke. So, as soon as he got to jail, he didn't even still, at that point, see the severity of what he done. He was making jokes, he was signing papers, like, signing autographs, like, "It's hammer time," and people in the jail were referring to him as Hammer Boy, and he really, like, he loved this nickname. People would send him letters, like, he would sign it, "It's hammer time from Hammer Boy," stuff like that. He clearly did not feel bad about what he did.
Right.
While he's in jail, he writes a letter to his grandparents. So he says to his grandparents, I was just living my life as a normal 17-year-old kid, and the next thing I know, I'm in the middle of the St. Lucie County Jail. I ruined a lot of people's lives, and I can't seem to forgive myself. I find myself crying a lot because of all the guilt. Every day I beg for forgiveness and I ask God not to send me to hell. I don't want to go there. Father Michael told me that if I just confess my sins and repent, God will forgive me for everything. I just can't get rid of all this guilt. It's swallowing me whole. I'm extremely nervous that I'm going to get a life sentence. It makes me pretty depressed. I want to say I'm really sorry for the grief I've stirred up. I know everyone thinks I'm a psycho and all, but I really am sorry for everything. I've been praying every day for forgiveness and for a decent plea offer. I should get one since it's my first offense. I feel extremely bad for Ryan, and especially you and my other grandparents for the grief that I've caused. I feel like Brian doesn't love me anymore, but I know he does, and he's just going through a rough time. It's so hard to get through all this. I'm scared and I feel alone. But what did you expect? Like, that's my thing.
Did you really expect your brother to be like, "Oh, no, it's fine, you killed our parents, I love you"? What?
Yeah. Like, no. He's not going to be happy about this.
I don't if my sibling killed my parents, I would not be happy either, and I probably would not speak to her. So I don't understand why he's sitting here in his head like, "Oh, he doesn't wanna talk to me because he's going through a rough time." Yeah, he's going through a rough time, you killed his parents.
Yeah, like, and your grandparents, if they don't wanna speak to you, like, you killed their children. Like, he wants everybody to feel so bad for him, but it's kinda just like, "Dang, bro, like, you kinda did the worst thing possible. We can't really feel bad for you."
Exactly, like,
I don't think he's guilty about what he did. I think he's guilty about the fact that he has to pay the consequences, and now he's realizing that they're gonna be so severe because, like, in that letter, like, he says he's nervous. He says, he's worried, but he never says, "I'm sorry that I killed my parents," just for the grief that he caused, and that he's more worried about getting a bad plea deal, getting a life sentence, or being sentenced to death. He's really just worried about that. It's not about the fact that he killed his parents. He's just like, "Oh, well, that's what I did."
he doesn't feel bad about what he did, he just feels bad because other people are hurt by it. Like, he doesn't give a shit that he actually killed people.
Yeah, he's not worried about that. He's just about the fact that he's gonna get in trouble for it and that other people are hurt by what he did. Like, he forgives himself for that. He's like, "That was fine. But the fact that it hurt you, that hurts me. The fact that I'm gonna get in trouble, that hurts me. But the fact that I did it is not really a big deal."
I don't think that he feels bad at all, besides the fact that maybe he upset his brother and his grandparents.
So he states that he forgives Michael for turning him in, but he also says that he's the reason why he's in jail in this letter to his grandparents. In 2014, he was sentenced to 2 counts of life in prison without parole. But because he was 17, they couldn't sentence him to death. Now, in 2016, there's an appeal to throw out those 2 life-term sentences so that way he can be resentenced because an appeal judge stated that the lower court did not consider the correct alternative to a life sentence. So he was given the life sentence without the possibility of parole, but because he was 17, they couldn't take him for death, but they didn't have an alternative. They did this appeal, and the appeal judge said, like, yeah, that we didn't do the correct way of doing this. So in 2016, he wins the appeal to throw out those 2 life term sentences. And finally, in 2018, he's resentenced to life in prison, but now he has the possibility of parole. So it really only just changed the parole situation, which, if they were going to give you no parole in the beginning, even if you get the possibility of parole, like, the likelihood of you actually getting that parole is kind of slim to none. But for the law's sake, they're just like, sure, you can have the possibility.
Right, but you're not getting out.
Yeah, like, you can have the possibility, but don't hold your breath.
I feel like in Hammer Boy's fucked up mind, he's like, "Oh shit, I'm getting out soon." No, you're not.
And one of the best things that you're probably going to love about this is that after the murders happened in that house, nobody else lived in there, and they finally demolished it. So it was demolished. Nobody ever lived there. Nothing else happened, and then they finally got rid of it.
Well, good, because we don't need another haunted house.
Yeah. So, some of the witnesses, when they were going through, like, and interviewing people, a lot of people said that it was the parents' fault for being too strict and never letting him be himself, and that's why he finally snapped. But the most common explanation was his drug use. So, he was known to just pop pills and smoke a lot of weed and drink heavy alcohol, and that he must have been under the influence and lost control. Had they known that he really just only popped 3 ecstasy pills and listened to Little Boozy to get himself hyped up for this, they might have said something different. But that's what they blame it mostly on. But a lot of the kids said it was probably his parents' fault because they were so strict.
Of course, it's the children blaming the victims.
But none of them seemed upset. So as they're being interviewed, none of them seemed upset about the fact that they had literally been through this. Like, they were at this party after this all happened. And even one kid, when he's being interviewed, says, "Wow, I just went to the party of a lifetime. It's messed up what he did, but 20 years from now, I'll be able to say that I was there. I hate St. Lucie, but that's kind of cool." Like, bro, that's not cool.
I don't know, maybe when you're a teenager, that's not, like, something that crosses your mind, like, "Oh, there could be dead people here." Like,
That's why I never partied right there, because this is, like, my worst nightmare. But I also thought there was dead people everywhere.
are you Bruce Willis?
No.
Did you get that reference? Please tell me you got that reference. You've never seen The Sixth Sense?
I have seen The Sixth Sense.
Bruce Willis is in that movie, and he sees dead people. Well,
Oh, yeah.
he doesn't see dead people, the kid does.
Yeah, but isn't he dead?
He is dead, that's spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Look, if you haven't seen what is Sixth Sense? That movie is so old. Hold on.
1999.
Look, if you haven't seen a movie from 1999, it's no longer a it's no longer a cliffhanger. Like, this is not me spoiling the end. If you still haven't seen it, then you just move on. You now know what happened.
Yeah, now you know what happened, he was dead the whole time.
He was dead the whole time. There's the whole plot of the movie. Surprise! I see dead people.
He sees dead people, and dude was for sure dead, so
Imagine being his best friend though, and, like, not thinking that he was telling the truth, and you're just like, "Show me the bodies," and then you go in there and there's, like, a leg hanging out of a big old pile of shit. Why did I ask for this?
I don't know what was going through his friend's head, was like, "You know what? I don't believe you, but show me the bodies, because like, that's not I don't want to see the bodies."
And just think about that girl, Ashley, Mark Andrews' girlfriend who was in the car, like, how bad she felt the next day when she realized, like, "Oh, no, his parents didn't die, like, a couple of years ago. They actually died yesterday, like, the day he told me." I wonder if she thinks about that conversation all the time, because I know I would.
Oh, I guarantee she does.
Yeah, that's the reason why I will never go to a house party.
So if I threw a house party, you wouldn't come?
Mm, maybe. Maybe. It depends on who's under the pile.
We've got a select few that were fine with being under the pile.
Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Dark and Twisties Podcast.
And find us by searching Dark and Twisties on Spotify and Google Podcasts.
We now have a website you can check out at www.darkandtwisties.com. Bye! You didn't bye with me.
I said bye.
Oh, I didn't hear you.
Oh, I said bye.
We have to do it again, the bye.
Oh, are we saying it at the same time?
Yeah, kind of, I guess.
Are you going to count it down?
Yeah, I'll count it. Ready?
Okay.
3, 2, 1. Bye!
Bye! That's the best thing ever.
Oh, that shall work.